Okay. So at least you have an idea what it says. Yes.
This one seems to be.
This one seems it's you know what it was? It's one-sided, and I couldn't staple it all together.
Oh, okay.
So it is a full volume.
It is a full.
Okay. So I'll tell you where we are. We are on page in the English 101 at the bottom, and in the Hebrew it's on page 74. I think that's where we are. Yes. Okay.
74, you said?
74 in the Hebrew, the last paragraph. Right. Are we missing a page there?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay. There's one missing page. And on the English bottom of 101. 101 English, the bottom, and 74 the bottom of the Hebrew. So right of title. V'hinei b'pasuk v'shav Hashem l'kecha shvutcha perish Rashi shegadol yom kibbutz goliyot. And when the pasuk talks about that Hashem says He'll return your captivity, this is a pasuk taken from Dvarim. So Rashi says, the Gadol Yom Kibbutz Goliyot, the day of the gathering of the exiles will be great. Uvakoshi, and it'll be so difficult. Kilahu atzmo tzarich liot ochez biyadav mamash ish mekomo. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as it would actually need to hold each person and grab each person from his place. Kinyan Shneimar, it says, Vatem tokadu le'echad echad b'nei Yisrael. That each of you will be gathered one by one, b'nei Yisrael. It's a pasuk taken from Yeshayahu. What does this really mean? So he's quoting here from the Chap Rebbe. V'hinei b'bir divrei Rabbeinu nir'eli imashuiti b'sefer hakadosh Ohev Yisrael, the holy book of Yisrael, Rabbeinu me'apta, the Chap Rebbe, who's the Zuchuto Yogen Aleinu, who says in Bemer Medrash Tilim, B'pasik me'artzot kibbutzam, Shakatuv HaMedrash, he quotes the Medrash which says, Kashem shatzipor netuna b'yad tzayad, Kacho Yisrael mukshukoim b'mitzrayim. So the Medrash, a very famous Medrash that says how the Jewish people were broken out, or God took them out of Egypt. And he says that we were stuck in Egypt the same way that a bird is caught in the hands of the hunter. So we were stuck in Egypt like the hunter has the bird caught in his hands, as it says, Shinema vo'erid latzilo. So one interpretation of how we were caught in Mitzrayim, we were really caught like in the trap, like the hunter has it, and the hunter has to release the bird. And that's how Kadosh Baruch Hu got us out, like you open the hunter's hand to let the Jewish people go out.
What's the word for hunter?
Tzayad.
Oh.
Tzayad. So we were like the tzipor that was put in the hands of the hunter. The hunter's got the bird. It's a tiny bird.
Yeah.
And the hunter has it. And the hunter's got the bird very tight. And then when it comes along, when the hunter opens his hand, or someone crosses the hunter, opens his hand, the bird flies away.
Yeah.
So HaKadosh Baruch Hu came in and had to basically open the hand of the hunter, which is Paro and Mitzrayim, who had us captive. So that's one analogy. The Gemara gives the Medrash gives three analogies. So one analogy about the Jewish people in Israel, in Egypt, we were like the bird in the hands of the hunter. Okay? As God says, I came down to save you. Amar Ravaval Bar Kahana B'Shem Rabbeinu, top of 75, middle of 102. Kacha Yisrael Natunim B'toch Mitzrayim. This is how we actually were in Egypt. Ka'ubar Shu Natun B'toch Me'ah Shalema. We were like the fetus in the womb of the animal, of the mother animal. Kishem Sharah, like the shepherd, Noten Yado B'toch Me'eha V'shomto. The same way the shepherd assists in the delivery and puts his hand into the womb and helps to deliver the animal, which is true. Kach asa HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu did the same thing for us. We were stuck in this womb of Mitzrayim, not a very positive womb to be in. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu reached in and pulled us out. Shenemar, as it says, Lavola kachat l'goy mikarav goy, to take a nation out of a nation, the same way you take a fetus, which is an animal, out of an animal. So in the first case, you have a hunter who's got the bird, and the second, similarly, you have an animal, a fetus, inside the mother fetus, inside the mother womb, and you have one animal coming out of another animal. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu took us out. That's the second analogy. One more analogy. Amar Rabbi Aibo b'Shem Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Kashem shehazahavi hazeh, like the goldsmith. Zahavi is a goldsmith. Poshet yadav v'notel zahav me'akor. The same way the goldsmith takes the gold out of the core, the smelting pot. you take the gold ore and you heat it up. And what happens? The gold comes to the top, and all the sludge goes down to the bottom. So God took Israel out of Egypt. The God took you out from the smelting pot of Barzel from Mitzrayim. So there are three analogies. One analogy is the bird from the hunter's hand. The second analogy is the baby animal out of the womb, and the third analogy is the gold away from the dross. So this is a very famous medrash. Now he's quoting what the Abda Rebbe said. The Abda Rebbe was a person who loved Jews. To understand the three interpretations and their reason, and to really understand the difference between all of them, in the mashal, that each one is a different kind of comparison. There are three different types of Jews, or three different groups of Jews of Israel. Tzadikim, Beinonim, Rishoyim. Righteous, middle, and the Rishoyim. And the first analogy, which was about releasing the bird from the hunter's hand, that's about the tzaddikim who were in Egypt. The same way the bird in the hand of the hunter has no connection to the hunter. The hunter simply is keeping it captive. The bird is still a bird. It's just simply inserted, or the hunter has encapsulated and captured the bird. So kach kihu bir bifnei atzmo. It's simply a bird is by itself. Rakshi kalu biyado. It's just caught. So the bird is a bird. When you open your hand, the bird becomes the same bird it was before. It's just released. When you open the hand, the bird will fly away and be the same bird. So too with the righteous, the tzaddikim in Mitzrayim, there was nothing. They did not get impacted by Egypt. They were not connected to the klipot. This is the Yetzer Hara and the things that weaken us. They just couldn't get out because Egypt was shut tight. And with the kindness of God, He came down and took them out without any difficulty. And that's the first analogy. So the first analogy is about the tzaddikim. They're the bird. Stay a bird, is a bird, remains a bird. Just open the hand, it flies away. The second one is and the analogy of those who are compared to the ubar, the fetus in the womb of the mom. These are the middle group of people, the big gray area. The fetus has a connection to its mother, right? It's got a placenta that connects it. It has to follow its mom. It can't leave the mom until it's born. So too most of the Jews were in Mitzrayim, the middle group. They were connected to all the impurities, impure aspects of Mitzrayim. But not completely. Nonetheless, you realize that the fetus is a separate child, separate existence. You can see the fetus. You see the fetus move sometimes as the mother goes through pregnancy. So you can sometimes see like the impression of the feet. In the same way with a human pregnancy. And the third analogy, which is about the gold and the dross, that's the Rishonim. The gold and the dross comes out of the ore. When it's in the ore together, it's completely connected. You have to boil it up. You have to subject it to pressure and heat to separate it. It's one thing before you boil it up. You can't find the gold and separate the gold when you pull out when you first mine the ore. So too the Rishonim, where they're completely mixed up with all the dross of Egypt, all the impurities, all the Avodah Zarah. Kadosh Baruch Hu took them out as well. So there are three different groups of Jews. So what does the Abda Rebbe say? So this is the Adkan Dvarai Rabbeinu. This is what the Abda Rebbe interprets, what the three different analogies are in Mitzrayim. It's now writes R Teichtal. This pasuk, which HaKadosh Baruch Hu talks about gathering in the Jewish people, he started with saying, God is going to bring back or gather all the people who are all around. He's going to gather them together. He's going to grab each person by himself, and each person he takes to separately. It's going to take each one individual. These are the Rishonim. Sheyu Kshurim Vagudim Umuchoborim Ba'omek HaKilbut Kol Kach Ad sheHakadosh Baruch Hu Yitztarech Lechol Zotam. They're so connected to all the impurities. They're so far away from Judaism, from the Torah, from the mitzvahs. God has to pull each one in. They are so deep down. The same way these Rishonim in Egypt were mixed in with all the Tumah, with all the Gavod Zarah of Egypt, so too the Rishonim of our people today are so involved in the diaspora with all the different kinds of bad things and all the kinds of negativity and all the ways they're doing. Mashen came to be known in comparison to the middle Jews, the people in the middle, the intermediate. God does not need to take them one by one. Because the moment God opens up the doors of the Geulah, we'll go right in. And therefore, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to save us, He's going to save as well all the types of Jews. The tzaddikim, God just says, go into Eretz Yisrael, they'll go. But the Rishonim, He's going to have to schlep according to the way the Medrash really understands this. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu will have to take one by one. Vatem tokadu le'echad nachad b'nei Yisrael. The passage in Yeshaya, even the Rishonim will be pulled into a future redemption. Umamash netkayem zot b'yameinu. And now, R Teichtal-Taught. This is what we see in our day. This is not just a Medrash from the Abdu Rebbe. The Abdu Rebbe lived, let's see, 200 years before R Teichtal. The Medrash goes back 2,000 years before R Teichtal. It's not just ancient history or recent history. It's right now. Many of our people are so fallen into amongst the nations. They're not considered members of our people. They've completely assimilated. So what happened? They slipped away. These people they thought they'd be Germans. They were Germans, and Jews may be second, and some not even Jews. Some even hid their Jewishness. Va'oto Rasha, this wicked guy, Hitler means, Vasag Zera Shelha, what's the English? A Reisen gesetzt. How they translate Reisen gesetzt?
Racist laws.
Racist laws. Reisen gesetzt, the racist gesetzt, the laws. Choka Geza, this is the law about who you were from. This is probably the Nuremberg laws. V'chipas achar chipas acher, He went back 3 generations. Actually went back 4 generations, but he probably may be including one of the generations as the present generation. Until he found that they were descendants of the patriarchs. And the Hitler was able actually to follow, as if to say, the words of Navi Hosea, who said, in place of where you said, says Hosea, that you're not my people, they will say that you are the people of a living God. Hainu, people, Germans, who kind of didn't even want to identify as Jews. Not just they converted, not just they assimilated, they hid their Jewishness, they had forgotten about it, or they made pretend that they were not Jewish. God says that you'll be identified as the people of the living God. And this is what the Navi Yeshaya is saying. Yeshaya Chavzayin says, you'll be taken one by one. As the Rebbe, that even the most wicked people will be taken, and we're taken on Mitzrayim. No one will be left behind. No one will be left behind at all. So everybody will be taken by a HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So too, this is what took place, that even the wicked people will be redeemed by a HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So in other words, and there's nobody who will be left behind, and you can't say that the future redemption is only for the religious people. It's actually going to be for every Yid that there is, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will make sure. So what he's trying to say is that the whole purpose of Judaism is every single Jew, religious, not religious, related, a good Jew, bad Jew, they're all going to be part of what this ultimate Gula actually is going to be found. And I found the same thing in the Sefer Mabushi Yontif by the Rebbe of Zidichav, in his parish in the Agada, Shehevi b'shem HaRebbi Mendel Miriminov. He quotes from Mendel Miriminov, Suchus Yogal Leinu, Sheomar, Shagam came Ben Hashini Shebagada Yatikun Begula Achronah, that the Rebbe of Riminov said that the second son of the Haggadah, he will also be redeemed in the Gula. In other words, you have the four sons at the Seder table, or four sons at the Seder. It's Rasha, you have the Rasha, the Chacham, the Rasha, the Tamashir, and the Elishal. So he doesn't even call him the Rasha. So the Rebbe Rimanov, Kodesh Hanal, Mirov Avatol Yisrael, Lo Ratzal Askil B'Shem Rasha. The Rebbe Rimanov didn't call him the Rasha, he called him Rak Baben Hashini, the second son, because he loved them so much. Put chazeh ad kama tzorech liot avad Yisrael. Look how much he loved the Jewish people, etc., 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 etc. Yafil rasha gomor keben hashini shemagad Elohei rotza kadosh Yisrael hanal lekro b'shem rasha. So even he would call the second son, but the point of it being, the second son is the rasha, is the wicked guy. He will also be redeemed. He will also be redeemed. V'chem atzati b'nei Yisachar b'shevet Nachamtos, the haftaras of the summer, shevi b'shem kubalim came to Gula achuna yeh tikun afil Roshaim. The final gula will affect and impact even the Roshaim. So you can't separate it. So what he's breaking with the approach of the Hungarian Rabbanim. This we got into trouble in that speech that was said the only people who will be redeemed are going to be the tzaddikim. So we can't really connect it to Roshaim. We get pulled down. He's saying everybody will be redeemed. So this is the whole Jewish people play a role in the Gula Sida, which means those, if that's the case, that everybody will be redeemed, those who are playing a role in setting up Israel now are really setting the stage for the rest of us. So what he's trying to do is sanctify the Rishayim, or the secular Zionists who are building the land, even though one could say, what are they doing? They're only really breaking with religion. Not breaking religion, they are part of the religion. And the same thing he says, V'yachar kach matzazi came a perish p'sik the Rabasi, Shakadosh Baruch Hu omer Mashiach. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to the Mashiach as follows, U'v'avonoseim shaleilu asid l'shoncha. That everybody will be, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that due to the sins of these individuals, your tongue will be, and he doesn't really follow the different things that will happen to the Mashiach, will suffer because they're Amal Lafana Ribbonu Shalom. Begilat nafshi v'simchat libi ani mekabel alai. That the Mashiach says, I take upon myself that all these things, which means Shelo Yavad Echad Yisrael, I'm going to take all the afflictions that you promised me, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in this medrash, that in order to save, not to lose even one Jew. V'chein hu od b'psikta gili mi'od, v'sham amar Mashiach, tafilu al eila sheshachaku alav, or sachaku alav, v'lo heminu v'biato, hu mechaper alehem shlo yavedu. The Mashiach who comes, this almost sounds a little Christological, saying, even for those who rejected me and didn't believe in me, I will bring forgiveness, they shouldn't be lost. Harei mikol zeh, shad kama yakar b'nei Mashiach b'nei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, af nefesh k'vo miswal. For God and for the Mashiach, every Jew, even the worst Jew, will be considered important. Mashiach mekabel alav lisbol kama v'kamatzaros. The Mashiach will get so many different difficulties. Rak shelo yovad af nefesh hayoter grom yisrael. Not even to lose, not even the worst Jew, the worst soul. Ki kulam heimozer Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov. Okay. And so you got the general idea here. And he says, he quotes from a number of other places. B'Zohar Kadosh Ra'iti, I saw this in the Zohar, and he writes in the parentheses, I don't know where in the Zohar, because I don't have books with me. That even those who are hold on to the right side, which is the forces of good, of in the Shrashim Kedusha, that tied into Kedusha, can't assume l'zalzalam v'kolshkim l'kalem, that you cannot curse them and you can't be mazalzal them. V'adrabah mitzvah lahal tov adam u'lekarvam. See, I'm not sure I understand this. I see the Ovri Aveira. Correct. The Poshim are holding on to the right side, which is the side of Kedusha and Mitzvot. So even the biggest sinner holds on to a little bit of Kedusha, so therefore you can't put them down. I'm B'Sefer L'Kudi Beit Ephraim Lagon Rav Naftali Sofer, Shebesofen Nitpas Kudashim Rabo, Moran Chassam Sofer, V'Shama Iti Darno Flood. He quotes here Chassam Sofer, quoted in the book of Rav Naftali Sofer. He says as follows. B'chelek echad amarti had yamina perik b'memad likin. I said and I quoted from in the perik b'memad likin, the second perik of Shabbat. The Beit Shammai hoya kapdan, the Beit Hillel yoev shalom, v'rodev shalom akarev briot the Torah. The Beit Shammai was considered how they translate kapdan. He was a strict. more than strict. Beit Hillel was an Oif Shalom, Rodef Shalom, brought people closer to Torah. Lo Beit Shammai here Kopdan Shalom and Adin. Not that Beit Shammai was strict, not according to law, Chas v'Shalom. Ela Beit Shammai hoy merachek elo shoy ba'den la rachek. The Beit Shammai pushed aside those who you should have pushed aside. Except why? Rak Beit Hillel haya anvanatam yoter Shalom and Adin. Beit Hillel was more of a humble person, beyond the law. V'kir briot Shalom and Adin, and brought people closer. Not that you had to do so. He could have pushed them aside, but he brought them closer, and therefore the Gemara is there talking about the machlokas of Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel, and we follow Beit Hillel. Why? So Beit Hillel is the more lenient in most cases, not always. Gentler. He was a gentler person. So the Gemara says that Beit Shammai was a kaptan, and Beit Hillel was Ohev Yisrael, Ohev Shalom. So you mean Beit Shammai was wrong? No, Beit Shammai was right. But sometimes you do things that are beyond being right. So Beit Hillel brought all these people together. One came and said, "Teach me the whole Torah while I stand on one foot." One person said to him, "Teach me the Torah on a condition I become a Kohen Gadol." Right? Story. This is one of the stories there. He says he went behind. He was listening to the Beis Medrash, and they were learning about the Kohen Gadol. All the things he had. He said, I want to become a Kohen Gadol. Sure. So he says, "Make me a Jew. I want to become a Kohen Gadol." So Shammai says, "Get out of here." And Hillel said, "Fine." And of course, the moment he began learning, he realized he couldn't become a Kohen Gadol. So stories along these lines. So it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with what Beit Shammai did. It just means Harei Rabbeinu Achatam Sofer Posek Beferish Halacha K'Beit Hillel. We pass like Beit Hillel. The Karev Afilo Otam Shem and Adil Machik. That the halacha follows Beit Hillel, which means that halachically and ideologically we should be bringing those closer who legally we should push away. Tzarech lekarvan k'mo she'asa Beit Hillel. And therefore, we who are going to look to what they're doing in Israel today, he's writing Rav Teichtal, in his day, those people who are the Rashayim, we're going to really support them. Let's do a little more. V'chein matzati b'sefer nativ mitzvotech l'Rabbeinu Makubal or Aizla mi Kamarna, who says, Achar shevi misefer chesjonot Rabbeinu Chaim Vital sheshoal l'Rebbe Arizal. So he is quoting here from Rav Chaim Vital, who asked the Ari, who said to him, Ech amar alav shenavsho yesh lo mayla kol kach. So Rav Chaim Vital, who's the student of the Ari, said to the Ari, why is it that people say that your soul is so high? The earlier generations, the people were greater, and you don't even get up to their ankle. Okay, so why do people say your soul is so great when we know that you really, I for sure, but you, Rizal, you don't hold a candle up to the previous generations. So what did Ari say? So this is a response to the Ari, who is responding to Rav Chaim Vital in a book called Sefer Chezionot, which is quoted in the book Sefer Nativ Mitzvotecha. So here it says, ki gadlut hanefesh inil tluya k'mi masei adam haner aleinayim. The greatness of the soul is not really based upon what a person does that can be seen by the eyes. Ki bochein libo tu kloyot Hashem yitbarach. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows the secrets that are in there and can tell what's going on. And according to the time and the generation, so therefore what we do today, a small act, Rabbi is talking about his time, is considered equal to a great act that was done in previous generations. Today in our generation, the Yari's generation, the Klipot, the Yetzer Hara, and the weaknesses weakens us greatly. Until you can't really compare them, you can't define them. Mashen came in the early generations, it was not that bad. If I had lived, says the Ari, in the early generations, my acts and my wisdom would have been greater than those tzaddikim and the Tanaim and the Amoraim. This is what the Ari says. In other words, some of the tzaddikim, some mikama, that's right. Correct. So in other words, you're right. I am considered low, but our generation is full of all kinds of deprecating forces and all kinds of weakening influences. Had I lived then, I could have had greater influence. But you know what? The Ari in his generation was the Ari.
Like Noah, no?
Correct. Like is he tzaddik b'doro? Same idea, right? Exactly. It's really repeats itself. But Katav Hazeh HaKadosh Hanal. And when he quotes this, I think who's he quoting? He's quoting now the Rav Isaac Karmara. He said right as follows: "Me'atah bein tavin achi." And so you should understand him. If in the generation of the Ari, this was such a difficult kind of overpowering of the klipot, the deprecating forces. What can we say in our generation, the time of the Rabbi Isaac Mikaramara? Everybody who says the name of Israel, called Israel, one should kiss them. You have to love them. You have to recognize and awaken with them the love and the schut. Everything a person does is overcoming all the evil and negativity, and all because of all the troubles and the travails, until the knowledge is gone. And all the people who live, all the wicked people who live in this country, not Ashkenaz, who live especially in the land of Ashkenaz, all these people living in Germany or the land of the Ashkenazim, we're all like a tinok shnishva ben anachrim, like a kidnapped child who doesn't know. They don't know what they're doing. They speak without knowledge. And in 1 second, they're all ready to give their name for Kiddush Hashem. They give their name, they die al Kiddush Hashem with love and happiness, with singing and dancing, so to speak. Ad kan daitu akadoshim. This is what the words of Rav Isaac call mikaramana. V'cheinu emes.
How does he know that?
Yeah, how does he know that?
So if you study Jewish history, you see it.
Well, we study it.
History is he's talking about now, like what we got nowadays.
Well, he says in the bottom. So in the bottom line, he's talking about the time of Rabbi Isaac Karamana, which is, let's say, 200 years before him. It says he really was the beginning of the Reformation. It was 150 years before him. Jews are bailing out of Judaism, but when they persecute a Jew as a Jew, he comes back to being a Jew. There were Jews who converted out. There were Jews who primarily became less religious. When they were really forced to make a choice, most Jews came down on the side of Judaism, being identified as Jews.
And when we speak about the Exodus, and they say that the majority of the Jews stayed behind in Egypt, no?
Yeah, 4/5, yes.
So
that was then. He's talking about in Europe.
No, I understand.
They have
so it's even worse today.
No, Mitzrayim is before they had really a Torah. Their identity is very undefined. What did the Jewish people do in Egypt? What made them Jewish?
They accepted the Torah.
They didn't know about Torah.
Oh no.
They knew their names. They had a generalized kind of culture.
Yeah.
But I take issue with the fact that he presents it as if it goes without saying.
Okay.
That he doesn't support his statement.
So you're right. You're correct. Rav Teichtal was not there. Rav Teichtal is quoting this quote from the Rav Isaac Mikaramara, who's quoting from the Ari. The part of the Ari ends, and then the Rav Isaac Karamala goes on and says, in his generation, he sees that even most Jews, despite the fact that there was a decrease in commitment, when they were caught as Jews or persecuted as Jews, they died as Jews. I don't. It's not proved. You're right. It's not proven.
Yeah.
It's not proven. I don't have an answer. I don't have a better answer except to say that my impression is, my unscientific feeling is that most Jews, even if they're secular Jews, consider themselves Jews.
Yeah.
Even today, most Jews will consider themselves Jews. Most Jews who don't keep mitzvot. You go up to the north of Toronto, go in Toronto, speak to Jews who have a very secular identity, but they feel they're proud Jews. Today it happens.
We had a large number of conversos.
Yes, we did. But even we had a large number of conversos and a larger number of Moranos. The Moranos may have slipped into being conversos. So there was a fine line between the two of them.
Okay. And Moranos.
Correct. So so some did. So you're right. It's not 100%.
Because he said it's all of them.
You're correct. Okay, so it's not.
Why didn't the rabbis go after these people and try to bring them back to the faith?
So that's what Rav Teichtal is really writing. Rav Teichtal is writing that we tried. So I will share with you actually maybe next time the case that happens where they accept the shochet from the Ne'elah congregation. I mentioned to you briefly last week. I've actually found the ksav that they actually wrote.
Mm-hmm.
So Rav Teichtal was willing to reach out and make one organization, or one communal organization, that both the religious, the Reform, and the Orthodox came together into one congregation because nobody was left. So strange bedfellows were made. What Rav Teichtal is really saying is that the people who are not religious, the secular Zionists, these are very secular Zionists who threw away religion when they built Israel, are as holy to me as the Jew who's davening 3 times a day. That's what he's trying to say. Right? It's a lot of discussion whether in going through Rav Teichtal's works in the last 20, 30 years, whether Rav Teichtal is really a pragmatist or is he a Zionist ideologue. Does he really believe this because he believes this, or simply, there's nothing better to do? They're there, and we can't get out of Germany. If you read Rav Teichtal, it seems clear to me he's a Zionist ideologue. Mm-hmm. He believes in this clearly. It's not something that just because this is the only way backdoor out of Europe. And that's what he's really trying to say here. I believe in these people. I believe in the totality of Jewish people. And these people are not just Rishayim. They've actually discovered some positive Jewish identity. So you're right. What you're saying, it's not 100%. Nothing is ever 100%. But he's trying to say, or at least he's quoting Rav Isaac Karamov, who said that in his generation he says in his generation it's even more so. Forget the dying Kiddush Hashem, but it's more so that anyone who says they're Jewish, anyone who gets up to say they're Jewish, is actually making a statement, because people don't know what Judaism means. So whereas one point that Mechal Shabbos was considered a non-Jew. Right? So you no longer consider that. By the way, people have studied Rav Teichtal's writings from the 20s. He himself undergoes a slow change. What he considers Machalei Shabbat. Right? How he views them really initially in the 20s as people who are wicked and evil, and it somehow changes in the 30s until even before he gets here. And we've seen some of the writings I showed you in the 30s where he was antagonistic, but internally, you talk about an individual Jew, it changes a little bit. Comes the 40s, he suddenly gets this bang on the head that this is really what's going on. He missed it. We missed it. Okay, so
it's a very generous approach to consider everybody Tinok Shenishba. Like I grew up in communism, so I may be considered a Tinok Shenishba.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything better, but a generation or two before me
did know.
They were the proponents of the communism, and everything. And the Jews were at the forefront of communism, and they were not just they didn't know, they were anti.
Correct. So
the whole neshama, they were anti.
Right. So this is a very large discussion how to define what Tinok Shnishba is. If you have a person who comes from a traditional background, but doesn't have sees that there are various different approaches or different ways to be Jewish, including secular Judaism, is that a person who's been influenced to such an extent that they may be a Tinok Shnishba? In other words, not a person, they're influenced by what's around them. So maybe the first Jew who said, I'm a communist, he was the Rasha. But all the others who followed him may have been influenced by his demography, by his speeches, by all that's going on. So people didn't realize or understand how the importance of Judaism being the only way.
And in terms of Reformation, there were adults who just studied and made the conscious decision to go against religion.
Yes, there were adults who actually converted to Christianity. Correct. So, but I'm saying, but within that, it's hard to define who is a Tinok Shnishba, who's not a Tinok Shnishba. Tinok Shnishba means I don't really know what's right and wrong. So you may not know what's right and wrong by being raised in a desert where there are no Jews around, or you become a Tinok Shnishba by having so many choices around, you don't know which is more important. You don't know is Shabbos right or Shabbos not right, because I hear this voice and I hear that voice, and I hear voices in the middle and voices completely on the end. That makes a person a Tinok Shnishba too. Even if the rabbi is getting up every Shabbos and talking about Kiyum Shabbos and Onik Shabbos and Zachar and Shamar, but the fact that there was so much going on outside means the person doesn't process properly. Right? Can you say that a person who studies this in depth is a Tinok Shnishba? Maybe not. But most people did what's around them. Most people followed Judaism because that's what everybody did. And that's what happened when Jews come to Canada and the United States. They're influenced by what's around them. We have the resurgence now going the other way around. But people came to America, people came to Canada, and they became less committed because everybody else was less committed. It's not that there weren't rabbis there, not that there weren't shuls, but the reality of society said you have to compromise, and they heard that voice. So that may be also considered tinok shnishba. Not that he doesn't know, but he hears so much he doesn't know what's right. Right.
Also, the mainstream Western culture is just all the values of the media, right? So most Jews here in North America, religion is like the butt of every joke. It's like you're not going to find religion unless you go out on your own and go to an Aish seminar or become a Bakiva or something. So you don't really have a chance.
When does assimilation take place in North America? I don't know Canada as much as where my milieu. It's when Jews begin moving to the suburbs. They move out of the Lower East Side. When they were in the Lower East Side, people had to make compromise for Shabbat sometimes, because they had to work. If you didn't work on Saturday, you didn't come in on Sunday, you didn't come on Monday. So, but basically there was a sense of who they were. When they stopped moving away from the centers, and they were impacted by everything else going around them in Christian America, that's when people become extremely weakened.
Yeah, it's true. Like when we lived in Morocco, it was very close. Everybody lived in the same ghetto almost.
Right. And in Europe, everybody did, in the Shtetl, everybody did the same thing. They didn't sit down and say, why am I doing this?
It was difficult not to eat
kosher.
It was forgettable.
Right.
True.
I don't know. There's different types of identity. Just a case where they buried an Arab in a Jewish cemetery. Everybody see this? It was an Arab who sold land, and a Muslim who sold land to Jews in East Jerusalem, and he died young, and they wouldn't let him be buried. They wouldn't let him be buried in the in the Muslim cemetery. So they didn't know what to do with him. So the chief rabbi of Yerushalayim, Rabbi Stern, allowed him to be buried on Har Menachot. There's an area that's reserved for people who are not fully Jewish on Har Menachot. They buried him there. This was a practicing Muslim. Okay, now this kind of concept doesn't come up that often. In Europe, there were only two cemeteries. There were Christian and Jewish cemeteries. What if you were in process of conversion? What if you started studying for conversion and you died? Where would you be buried? They wouldn't let you in the Christian cemetery. So they had similar kinds of things. They may have had areas in the cemeteries of people who had like a bit of, a half Jew, so to speak. They did some of the stuff that comes up in a number of cases. So there are all kinds of identities that are there. What I'm saying is it's very hard to say. He bends over backwards, but I think the bending over backwards saying that you can be Muhammad Schut on every Jew.
That's right.
Okay, let's come up to a place where we can put our pen down here. So the bottom line is we all agree that not every Jew died on Kiddush Hashem with Rikudim and Mecholim and Simcha Bi'ava. But it's reasonable to assume that this was the opinion of Rav Eisel called Mikaramana, and Rav Teichtal accepted it. And it surely, if it applied then, is his point, that people were to be commended for doing things even when they bailed out of Judaism, that some people, we'll say some people, died al Kiddush Hashem. I'll call Panim, let's see what I'm going to pick up here. So surely today where things are even more difficult, I'll call upon him therefore, Tirachai, Shakadosh Ish Eloki Anal, Amar Beferish, Sheesh Lashenik Kol Tam Shasher B'Shem Yisrael Yichuna, that one should kiss every person who calls himself a Jew, V'Sovelim Klal, and suffers with the group, Avur Shigam Hu Nikra Yisrael, because he is also called Yisrael. So even a Jew who identifies as being a Jew, even if he doesn't keep the mitzvah, this is where he's going. Mitzvah la'orer zchut alehem. It's a mitzvah to find a zchut for them. L'karvam b'chol minei b'chiban, to bring them close with all kinds of love. Ach nishba b'chayei olam shekol Hashem shv'yisov zvanenu hey manasim ala kol katina k'shnishba b'nakam. Until you could say malamet zchut. He's right. He's malamet zchut. He's trying to say malamet zchut. La'orer zchut alehem, to say that they're equal to tinok shnishba. Ve'duk v'hamek b'dvarav k'ayom b'fursan l'bal ruach nefesh. So if you follow his words to the nth degree, it looks like you can apply that even to his day. And therefore, in this generation, what he's really trying to say is he will actually, we should support those who are going to follow the building the land of Israel.
It seems like in reality, it's the opposite.
That those who went to build Israel?
No, you find that the ones that are very observant look really down on the ones that are not so observant.
So that's what he's
And
referring.
the first thing they ask you, what school did you go to? Where did you daven?
Correct. So there are two reasons for that. One is a isolationist attitude,
Yeah.
right? That we're doing what's right there and doing what's wrong, so they're out of the camp. Not Livishus, Hungarian. He's coming from Hungarian. In the Hungarian Rabbanut, the Agudas Yisrael was considered radically left. So it's not just Litvishus, all kinds of the other concern is a real concern. They may influence us, right? If you say to a child, "We're doing this," and the people who are not keeping Shabbos are as good as us, a child doesn't understand to make those value judgments. May say, "Well, if it's good for you and that's good for me, like, why am I doing this?"
So then, what is he saying?
Well, he's saying that every person is a member of the Jewish people. He's not making value judgments, who is more important, less important. He's saying that every Jew who does something for Judaism is commended as a Jew. We have to remember that in our day, a lot of Jewish identity is related to the state of Israel. There was no state of Israel. A lot of the identity was related to those who were building the state of Israel. And they had a certain amount of pride. So that's what he's saying. You have to make them recognize they're part of the Jewish people, and therefore support them and be with them and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's probably a good place to stop here.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll break here.
Really. It's like